Hello. Looks like we're up and recording. And welcome to the podcast, Colonel and the Kid podcast. I'm Greg Heitmann and the host of the podcast. And for your background information, I'm the kid in the Colonel and the Kid. And this podcast is based on my memoir of my grandfather that I've written. And I'm going through that chapter by chapter for each episode, plus some other stuff, just some mostly sports, I guess. The NFL season's in full swing right now, so I'm talking about the NFL quite a bit, probably getting oversaturated with that, but too bad. Enjoy my great predictions and commentary on the NFL, and you will be informed. I didn't say well informed, but you'll just be informed. So anyway, today it's Tuesday, September 30th. I can't believe it's the last day of October. Last day of September, getting ready for the first day of October. And coming up, we got quite the timely chapter in the Colonel and the Kid memoir. And this is about, the title is The Football Cleats. It's chapter 4 and fits right into the NFL season and football season in general and fall. And I really enjoyed this one. And I reread most of it earlier this week, just trying to get prepared a little bit to see what was going on with where we are in the story. So I think it's a pretty good one. Should be enjoyable. But anyway, jumping right in. The update, we're back in the studio with the bear behind me, so I thought I'd give you the bear hunting update. Did go out bear hunting. Day and a half really is all I spent, just one night out in the mountains. No sign of a bear. I trudged up and down mountainsides and looked high and low. No bears to be found, no bear sign. Just kind of wondered about the bear numbers, if they're kind of low this year. But still fun to get out and see the wildlife and elk, and just very enjoyable. Just love being in elk country. And I did have a special bear appearance here, and I'll get right to it. I'll just jump right to it. I do have one of my first props, I guess, I'm holding up for the podcast, and sorry for the people who are just listening, but check this out. This is the Ham's Beer Bear, piece of breweryana. I don't know what they call it on eBay. It's one of the first things I ever bought on eBay, I think, many years ago, and it's very fragile. It's made of plastic, molded plastic, and it's just like, that's the backside. It's oxidized over the years, so it could just crack or fall apart just any moment. But Ham's Beer from the Midwest, it's classic. And if you're able to see this, you can see that I still haven't solved the problem of the reversed image, so everything's backwards in the camera still. And I did a little bit of research on that. I haven't solved it. I just didn't do anything I guess there's maybe some settings that you can change to try to make things more appear right side up or correct direction, but I just haven't done it because they said it can throw off the intuitiveness of looking at yourself in the broadcast. And so I probably look awkward enough without being messed up with the mirror image of myself. So anyway, I thought that would be something I can put in the history books with the image of the Ham's Beer Bear. So hope you enjoyed it. It was great. It's a great collector's piece to have. And I just stumbled upon it in the move back from South Dakota and back here to New Mexico. And I don't know why it was at the top of some box or something, just trying to be carefully packed away, and opened up a box, some random box. I don't know why it wasn't in with some of the decorations, and could have stayed in the box out of the way, but now I just have it laying around here. So anyway, there's that. And one of the things I wanted to get into before we hit the NFL update, the review of week 4, and is an ongoing segment that I like to share is the what I'm calling abusive language, quote unquote abusive language. And this week I wanted to talk about one of the weird sayings of English language when they say that we're going to catch lightning in a bottle, this unique moment in time where we can do something great, and it's, quote unquote catching lightning in a bottle. And you hear it every once in a while. I think it's kind of outdated in a lot of respects, but I didn't do any research on it, but I just have the story that came to mind when I was trying to think of something for this segment. The abusive language or verbal abuse. That's the other working title for this segment. My younger brother Garrett, he worked with a guy at one point when he was in the Air Force. The guy said that he didn't have quite the correct saying there, but he said it's like catching whiskey in a bottle. I guess it's appropriate because that is a very common thing, that whiskey would be in a bottle and that's where you'd put it and keep it. But I think he was trying to explain something unique or unusual, and instead of saying catching lightning in a bottle, it was catching whiskey in a bottle. And I don't know. That just is very humorous to me, the way the mind works and the confusion that can come about from people. And I'm not saying I don't do that myself, but it's just funny to catch it in other people. And I mean, that story is probably from 20 years ago. It still sticks with me about the catching whiskey in a bottle. So I'm not sure where the derivation is. I should do some more research and maybe get back to you on that, or you could just do it yourself. But I'm going to speculate and I say it's like lightning in a bottle. Maybe it's moonshine, because they were, in the old moonshine days when they were running whiskey in the Appalachian mountains and stuff, that they're, catching lightning in a bottle. It was like, maybe just like that moonshine was so powerful. They're saying, oh boy, this is some good stuff. It's like lightning in a bottle, and just knock you on your butt when you drink it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's correct. Maybe way off. Who knows? So anyway, I'm going to end it there. We'll go on to the NFL update and get right into the fun stuff. First of all, let's go over my record for the week. This was a horrible week for me picking. I just really fell off the table. I was probably at a, close to just under 80% picking rate for just straight up picking, no points involved, just picking winners. And so on the year now, I'm 45-18, but this is based on my Yahoo pool that I'm in, and it's just for fun. There's no money involved. This is just for bragging rights. And so I'm 71% picks on the year. And that includes, I did miss one pick that I forgot to pick a team, and that was the Cincinnati-Cleveland game at the beginning of the year. And I would have picked Cincinnati, and they did win. So I should have one more win on the year, but I don't. But week 4 was rough. I told myself I was 10-6. So, which is better than what Yahoo's given me credit for, because there was a tie this week. The Cowboys and Packers tied, so then they don't give any points for that. You just go, there's 16 games, so you only get 15 games, I guess. And so I was 9-6 on the year for Yahoo, but it wasn't a loss for me, so I consider it a win. In the gambling world, it would have been a push, so I would have just got my money back. So that's a victory, really. But let's start with the top. Last Thursday's game. Seahawks at Cardinals, easy win, relatively easy win. I guess came down to the end. The Seahawks had to kick a field goal at the buzzer, but they handled them pretty well. It wasn't much of a game. The Vikings at Steelers in Dublin was what I thought it would be. I just bet I picked with my heart and picked the Vikings, and they just were a no-show. And I have a lot of criticism for the Vikings in their whole quarterback situation, and just their toughness, discipline, everything that goes with playing football. And they don't have it. Carson Wentz as their quarterback is a huge mistake. He started like a record six different teams in 6 years. He started at least one game, and there's a reason that he's doing that. I mean, the team has realized that he's no good. They just get rid of him. And somehow, some way, people think, "Oh, I can fix him. I can use him. He's going to be good for my team." And it's not. He's not. He's not an NFL quarterback. Let's just say that. I mean, there was so many things wrong with the Vikings, but I think that leadership at the Vikings quarterback position, it's just completely lacking right now, and it's hard to watch as a Vikings fan. I won't go on and on. I just feel bad for me and the rest of the fans that we're gonna have to see this and deal with this, and it seems like it's a waste of an opportunity because the Vikings do have a decent defense, but if the offense is so bad, they just can't. The defense is out there so much they get tired and wear out at the end of the game. So I don't have a lot of hope for the Vikings this year. Redskins at Falcons. Redskins put up a good battle. Their starting quarterback's out. They lost. I had picked the Redskins. Tough one there. Saints at Bills. Saints hung in there with the Bills way longer than I thought they would. That was a surprisingly competitive game. I didn't think that the Saints would show up. I guess they're pros. They went up there and gave the Bills all they could ask for. And I think maybe the Bills are kind of, that's why they played the game. They're pros too, but they thought maybe they had this game won before it even started, and I think they got a little bit of surprise and had to like pick up a little pace there for the Bills, but they won and got that W. Cleveland at the Lions. Lions rolled there. I think they're back on their feet. They're looking pretty good. They got the W. I got the W on that one. Carolina Panthers at Patriots. Patriots just rolled on the Panthers. I was not sure about that game at all, but Patriots got me the W there. Chargers at Giants. This was a fear of mine. Chargers having to go all the way across country playing the East Coast early. Giants beat them. Jackson Dart came through. That leadership, I think there's, that spark from a new quarterback. Unfortunately for the Giants, they lost their star wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, tore his ACL just on a nothing play, really, trying to jump for a ball on a long pass. And I think he just, on the takeoff, it just snapped, just pushing off, and just one of those weird deals. Is terrible for them. And so that's the way it goes in the NFL. Just injuries pile up and change your whole trajectory for the season. So got to move on. Next man up, they say. Titans at Texans. Titans got that rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. Very tough assignment for him the whole year. It's going to be kind of probably pretty brutal. So Texans did get the win there. I had picked the Texans. Colts at Rams. Rams came back and won that game. That was a tough test for them in Los Angeles, and both pretty much on the upswing. Top tier, top third of the NFL, at least this year, it looks like, for both those teams, Colts and Rams. Kind of surprising, but look forward to seeing more of their games as the season goes on. I did get that one right. Jacksonville at 49ers. I had said going into San Francisco to play 49ers is always tough. Jacksonville came in there and beat them up pretty good. 49ers is still suffering from just injuries all up and down their offense and defense. So it's really not surprising. That was kind of a pick 'em game. I just thought maybe the 49ers could pull it out at home, but nope. The big surprise for me was the Ravens at Chiefs, and I had picked the Ravens and they just got crushed. Very surprising to me that the Ravens' downward trajectory continues, and I would say they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. I'm going to go out early and say that. Lamar Jackson hurt his hamstring, and when the announcers, he took himself out of the game, and the announcers didn't know what's going on. That there was nothing visible that he went to the sideline for, and then the sideline reporter said, "Oh, he's dealing with a hamstring injury." It's like, well, okay, it definitely wasn't obvious, but I think they said that Lamar Jackson's been playing for 7 years now in the NFL, and just blew me away that he's been in the league that long. And maybe the hits have piled up on him. He's just slowed down and just can't escape like he used to and get out of the way of the pass rush. So maybe that's his plateau, and it's going to be downhill from here. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing them compete and having that good competition for the Bills and the Chiefs out there. But they are just getting steamrolled, and their vaunted defense. I mean, Ravens were historically built on defense, and now they're just giving up 30 plus points every game, and it's it's kind of just a shell of themselves as far as it comes to the defensive side of the ball. So that was a bummer for me to see that and get the L on that one. And on the next game, the Bears at the Raiders, I had picked the Raiders, and it seemed like that was well within hand the whole time. But you got to remember that Geno Smith is the quarterback for the Raiders, and he threw, I think, 3 interceptions, and Raiders had a chance to kick a game-winning field goal as the time ran out, and it got blocked, of course. So that was another loss for me. Um, I don't know. I'm not a Bears fan. I'm a real Bear fan. I like Bears. As you can see behind me on my bearskin rug that's on the wall there. But Chicago Bears, I'm not a fan because they are one of the chief rivals for my Vikings. And speaking of chief rivals, nothing warmed my heart like seeing the Cowboys rise up and at least tie the Packers and really kind of screw up the win percentages and the way the playoffs might shake out at the end of the year with a tie on the record for both these teams. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be competing for a playoff spot, but I'm pretty sure the Packers are. And the Packers just do not look good. I mean, they look like they're like world beaters coming out the first game of the season against the Lions, but since then it's just been reality has set in. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, that was a Packers and Cowboys tie, which is a very entertaining game. 40-40 came down to a last second field goal to tie in overtime for Green Bay, and they just about ran out of time. They had 1 second on the clock after just terrible time management. It seemed like from that standpoint, they're trying to get a touchdown to win it, but they almost ran out of time even to kick a field goal. So, and then last night they had 2 Monday night games, and I got both those right. Dolphins victory over the Jets at home, and that was kind of a tough one because Tyreek Hill had just a terrible knee injury. That's going to be career affecting. He might be end of his career, and it's just sad to see. I mean, the guy's just a freak out on the field as far as his athleticism. So I feel bad for that. I mean, he was a very troubled person, I think, in his personal life and outside of football, but he was a superstar on the field. So I feel kind of bummed out over that. And then the final game for Monday night was Bengals at Broncos. And I don't know. I mean, the Bengals are right now, I think, a snapshot of time. Right now, they are the worst team in the league. They have 2 wins, but that was when Joe Burrow was playing and was able to basically carry the team, offense and defense. And now that he's out injured, they just getting crushed left and right. It's just, yeah, I'm sure it's not what the NFL's wanting to see and put out there on the field. But anyway, again, 45-18 on the year, 71%, just straight up pick 'em. I don't know how that compares to anybody else. I need another guest to come in. I'm still going to work on some people to come in and talk some NFL eventually as things settle in and get more time. I feel like I'm scrambling to do this every week or twice a week. I'm anxious to do the podcast and talk about football and talk about the Colonel and the Kid chapter and do that. But I'm still getting ready to do some hunting and still settling in from moving back from South Dakota. So it's this is sort of a little respite time off. But I look around my little studio here, which is a quote unquote studio. I'm in my living room / dining room table area, and I look around just to the left and right of me. I just have this disaster of mess just laying around all over. I mean, it looked fine in the picture of this. If you're just listening, good for you because you don't have to see the mess that maybe shows up here and there in the background of my video podcast. So anyway, if I have this correct, just the look ahead for Thursday Night Football, I believe it's 49ers at LA Rams, and that should be a good game. Even if the 49ers are hurt, they're suffering injuries, I think they get up. I mean, it's one of their chief rivals. So I think they always play tough no matter what. They can be the worst team in the league and still play each other, very competitively. So that should be a good game. I'm looking forward to that. So it's I'll have more on that. I'm leaning Rams right now. That's well you can put me down for as far as picking that game, Rams. But I'm not going to be surprised by anything if they would, 49ers would win that game. But I'm picking Rams, and maybe I'm shooting for another Thursday podcast and then go over more details about that and then the rest of the picks. But for now, we're going to move on to the reading of the chapter 4 of The Colonel and the Kid. This one's called The Football Cleats. I'm getting a drink of water and try to go back to trying to read aloud. This is maybe more comical for me and more humorous entertainment for myself whenever I hear myself read and try to read this stuff without stammering and stuttering. But got my drink of water and excuse me, try to clean it up here and have a good read. And then again, I'll say that for those watching the video podcast, I'll read it, and then I will, as I'm going through the reading, I will read the captions for the pictures, and then I'll overlay them in like I did last time with the photos that I like to share. Got all these historic photos. I guess a lot of them are getting close. Many of them are 50 years old or near 50 years old, so a lot of historic photos to share. So I'll insert them in after in the post-production of the podcast. So anyway, this is chapter 4. It's called The Football Cleats, and I would start the chapter and end the chapter with a quote. And this week I'm starting with Vince Lombardi, and he said, quote, what the hell is going on out here, end quote. And this is chapter 4. For a moment, I was a champion. The year was 1977, and I had just won the punt, pass, and kick first place trophy in the 8-year-old category. Victory in the Rolla, North Dakota competition would guarantee my spot in the next round of the Rolette County-wide contest. Alas, it was not meant to be. The wind came out of my sails when an adult volunteer inspected my footwear. Busted. My plastic football cleats were illegal. According to the punt, pass, and kick rules, participants were limited to common everyday athletic shoes, tennis shoes, or tennies, as they might be referred to in my family. Stripped of my championship title and disqualified, fate intervened. I would be given a do-over if I had regular shoes that I could wear. As luck would have it, I lived just across the street from the park where the competition was taking place. I raced home across the street, probably without even looking, to change shoes and return to the football skills battle. I made it back and performed the kicking, punting, and passing regimen. It was a blur. I guess those football spikes made the difference. I fell out of first place, landing at runner-up, second place. I actually think it was the wind sprint home and back that sapped enough of my 8-year-old's energy to knock me out of the championship spot. It's okay. It was the first trophy I ever won, so it was hard to be sad when they still rewarded your effort with a fancy silver trophy. Plus, it makes for a better story to tell 40-plus years later. And here's a picture of the punt, pass, and kick champs. And the caption for this photo is the Rolla, North Dakota newspaper article saved by my mom from 1977. The author is pictured front row on the right. And then I'll actually read the caption in the actual from the newspaper article. It says, Ford punt, pass, and kick contest winners in the 8-year-old division. Pictured from left to right in the front row are Bobby Joe Parisian, third place, Tony St. Germain, first place, and Greg Heitmann, second place. 9-year-old winners from left to right in the back row are Danny Belgard, second place, Bobby Bryan, first place, and third place winner, Brian Crosby. And here's a picture of the actual photo, a color photo of the punt, pass, kick, second place trophy. from 1977. And here's a picture of me in my Minnesota Vikings pajamas, and I'll read the caption. Photo of a pajamas-clad Happy Greg relaxing with his hard-fought trophy from the 1977 punt pass kick competition. And to describe that picture a little more, I'm sitting in this like a gold-colored lazy boy with my feet. I'm sitting on my feet, and I'm holding the trophy in my lap, and I have a Minnesota Vikings pajama top on. It's long sleeve with a purple helmet. It says Minnesota and a purple collar. And my hair is not combed. It looks, I think I just took a shower and never combed my hair. Just got out, and that was the way my hair was. So anyway, back to the story. The mischievous culprit of my lost championship is none other than my grandpa. Yes, the old-timer, unwittingly brought down a burgeoning sports empire by inadvertently sabotaging my effort with a tool, child-sized football cleats. Those football spikes increased my traction and agility, but at the same time disqualified me as an athlete. Grandpa was also a sports-minded man. Golf was probably the first association I have with sports and my grandfather. However, the Minnesota professional sports teams were very special to him and to the rest of the family. Much more to come on the sports horizon, but let's get back to the defeat cleats, as I have wittily titled the offending shoes of punt pass kick notoriety. Grandpa had promised cleats for Grady and I at some point, and he came through. A package arrived via postal service, and lo and behold, it was a pair of cleats for Grady. A few days later, another package arrived, more cleats, but these were a bigger size. Grandpa had purchased a size bigger for the growing kid's feet, albeit a little too big. I happily donned the football baseball spikes and immediately imagined the spectacular feats, pun intended, I would accomplish. Those cleats, when placed on my feet, transformed me into Fran Tarkenton, Minnesota Vikings quarterback, my boyhood hero. And I have a picture of a book that I had when I was a child. And the caption of the book says, photo of quarterback book, Main Men of the 70s, quarterbacks, which included my hero, Fran Tarkenton. I bought a copy of this book off eBay in 2022 because I couldn't find my original. And this is a photo from June 2022. And on the cover, it's quarterbacks in fancy font. And it's Ken Stabler of the Oakland Raiders dropping back to make a pass. And he's left-handed quarterback, so it looks kind of awkward. But I remember looking at that book constantly when I was a little kid. And there's another photo here from inside the book, the quarterback book, and it's image from inside the quarterback book, photo June 2022. And to describe the photo, it's Fran Tarkenton with his hands on his hips, just about to get under center and take a snap. And the Vikings are playing the Rams in their classic purple jerseys with white pants. And I think it's the center. I think if I remember right, his name was Mick Tingelhoff, a great German name, Tingelhoff. It's just a classic image. And then I have another photo from inside that book. Yeah, it's the caption is image from inside the quarterback book, photo June 2022, and it's the Minnesota Vikings huddle where Fran Tarkenton's squatting down and he's holding his hands up, explaining the play to the team as they're bent over at the waist, leaning in on the huddle, listening to the play call, and it's just this muddy mess of a field, and they're in their classic purple jerseys and purple helmets and white pants, and it's how I imagine Viking football when I think about Viking football, not the modern day fancy pants and jerseys and the dull helmet. These are the shiny purple helmets. And I really despise the matte colored helmets, that dark, dull purple versus the shiny purple. I'm old school. I don't like change, I guess, and I just would like if they would go back. Go back to the classic Vikings. Anyway, back to the story. What a feeling. It was like being a superhero when I wore those cleats, all because of Grandpa. It's hard to quantify the impacts Grandpa had on my life, but this is an event that I can easily document as a life lesson. It's more of a series of events. The kickoff was Grandpa identifying a tool, a piece of equipment that could elevate one's performance. Grandpa planted the seed in my mind that the cleats would indeed provide improvement to any ability that I already possessed. Just imagine for a moment the anticipation that sets up for a kid. It's not even Christmas time. My grandpa worked for the post office. He was a mailman on a rural route for the Siston, South Dakota area. He knew what to do to build excitement and anticipation for an 8-year-old boy. Just wearing the cleats provided a boost in confidence that probably exponentially improved any benefit the extra traction those spikes delivered. How did Grandpa know? I can now speculate that Grandpa's military experience brought a level of knowledge in psychology to his fingertips that gave him a distinct advantage when working with his soldiers, and then later in life, his grandchildren. Some might call this manipulation, but heck no, not me. This was his inspirational methodology. Getting something in the mail as a child was unbelievable. Receiving a package from your grandfather as he promised is something so impactful that I sit here and write about it today. Again, it has to be said that Grandpa made me feel special and important. I'm sure my brothers and cousins could provide their own examples, but these stories are mine. I reiterate that my whole mission behind this memoir is to inspire you, the reader, to find your own special memories and relationships with your grandparents. This, in turn, may rekindle a feeling of warmth and joy that you can always turn to for comfort. Sounds sappy, I know, but when you hit a certain point in your life, these recollections, faded and frayed around the edges as they might be, are cherished. I grin widely and beam with pride as I type. After an exhaustive search, I couldn't find a photo of those cleats to include with this chapter. But just picture the Roman god Mercury, shoes that put wings on my feet. Postscript. I extracted a small measure of revenge about 10 years later with the North Dakota Championship. As a senior in high school in Groton, South Dakota, we traveled to North Dakota State School of Science in Wahpeton, North Dakota, for our first track meet of the season, an indoor track meet. I won the 440-yard dash. I didn't get a trophy, but I'd get a nice blue ribbon and the satisfaction of victory. The irony is that I didn't wear spikes for winning this event, just my normal running shoes. And I have a photo of that blue ribbon. And the caption says, photo of the Wahpeton track meet blue ribbon circa 1987. So on the ribbon itself, it's a blue ribbon and says NDSSS, high school indoor track meet, 440-yard dash, first place. And we competed with, at that time, it was just a bunch of schools from Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota, just a kind of an open meet. And I don't remember what I ran for a time on that. It was like a short track. I can't remember. It was like, usually a 440-yard dash is one lap around an outdoor track. But this track, I think it was 4 laps. And I remember it was pretty exhausting. That was 440 was a tough race for me. Probably a little farther distance than my muscle types like to challenge itself. Anyway, as always, I'll close out the chapter with a quote. This quote's from Mary Lou Retton, Olympic gymnast. You may remember her, but she says, quote, "A trophy carries dust. Memories last forever," end quote. So that's the reading from the memoir today, the Colonel and Kid, the memoir. And I guess maybe I didn't say it at the start of the podcast here, but the Colonel is my grandfather, Colonel Edwin P. Hagan Jr., and it was my mom's dad. And that's the inspiration for this whole podcast, and it's the spine of my whole podcast. I'll venture out into like I've done here with the NFL picks and my abusive language segment I talk about, and hopefully I can keep coming up with ideas to share with that. But it's just enjoyable for me to talk about my grandfather and share these stories. And like I said in the chapter, that just inspire everyone else to try to maybe do better than I did to talk to their grandparents if they're still alive, and they can still talk to them about the stories and get that warm feeling that I had with with my grandparents. And I just regret not talking more and getting more stories um, on paper and committed to memory about what went on. And I don't know. I'm hopeful that this is useful for people just beyond some humorous or moderately humorous entertainment, so that maybe it means a little more and a little more deeper feeling with it. So anyway, I'm gonna move on, and this is what I've run out of time on last podcast, early podcasts, so I'm gonna take this time now to talk about some of my other books and do some marketing. Um, 2 books I want to talk about today. I'm gonna hold them up, and of course, I should have fixed it so they're backwards, but this is I'll do one book at a time. This is Fort Siston. This is the first book I wrote. Fort Siston, Dakota Territory. This is um, it's a Western. They're both Westerns I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to read the back so you can get a little quick description of how I describe it. Fort Siston, Dakota Territory is the historical fiction account of an 1860s U.S. cavalry soldier, Sergeant Brian Sipe, meeting the challenges of life on the desolate prairie filled with restless Indian population, Civil War outlaws, and the most difficult adversary of all, his own father. Sergeant Sipe's Old West adventure parallels the discoveries of a present-day 10-year-old boy, Jake, who explores his new hometown of the Siston-Wahpeton Indian Reservation in modern-day northeastern South Dakota. So I wrote this book based on my growing up northeast South Dakota, and really going to Fort Siston for the first time as a 6th grade student and getting some of that history, and it just stuck with me all that time. When I was 6th grade, 12 years old, I guess, and 40 years later, I'm writing about it and still have that vivid memory of it, how interesting it was to me. And I wrote it in the idea that maybe it could be made into a Walt Disney movie. That would be my ultimate goal, to have it as a Disney type movie, because I grew up as a kid watching the Apple Dumpling Gang and stuff like that, where there was kids involved in that as the actors. And I remember like Don Knotts and Tim Conway, and how entertaining that was for me as 8-year-old kid at that time. And that's how I envision it as far as the story goes. And the story flashes back and forth between the Old West 1860s and modern day childhood adventures, and kind of treading over the same ground, but just 140 years apart, so 150 years apart. So it's kind of I don't know, I guess maybe for me personally, I don't want to say it went all downhill from here, but this is probably my best book, I would say. And then I've been trying to live up to it ever since. I don't think I've done it, actually, but I've done okay otherwise. I think some of the other books they're good, but this was Fort Siston, Dakota Territory is my best book. I'll say that. And so the other Western I have is Chief Red Iron, the Lakota Uprising, which is this historical fiction too. And I'll just read the summary of that, what I have written on the back here. Chief Red Iron, the Lakota Uprising, is a historical fiction account of the 1862 Santee Sioux revolt of the Lakota Nation, and how Chief Red Iron, with his family, strived for a peaceful coexistence among the settlers. The story is based on actual events and highlights some of the lesser-known history in the taming of the West. So this one is strictly a Western. There's no flashback to modern times or anything like that. So truly a Western, and very good. To me, it's very good and very historically based. I'm not going to say historically accurate, because I did take a lot of artistic license and liberty. And sitting here now, I kind of criticize myself, saying I should have probably tied these in. I should have probably kept in the flashback situation that and kept some of the same characters, so it could have been like a true trilogy and having the same characters appear in 3 books. I do have another Western that I'm working on right now. Well, I've been working on it for probably 10 years. 10 years. I do have the screenplay written, and that's how I work. I do the screenplay as the outline for the fictional work, anyway, for my fictional books, and then I turn the screenplay. I've just put more flesh on it with more descriptions and everything to make it into a book. So I just have the screenplay for the third Western sitting someplace digital. I have a digital file of it too, but I have an actual paper copy someplace, and it's actually called The Battle of the Badlands, and it's based on um, it's historical fiction again, and it's pretty good. I'm working, kind of reworking the ending a little bit just to try to make a little more a little more satisfaction with the ending, but um, I'll get. I'm trying to make a promise that I'm, I, this is I'm very, as you can see, I'm stammering a lot here. I'm trying to promise that I'll get it out next year. I'm not going to promise that. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, I promise I will work on it to hopefully get it closer to getting out so I can truly have a Western trilogy that I can share and present. And I go back to Fort Siston book that I've been up to the Fort Siston Festival. They have that the first weekend in June, and I buy a booth. You pay like $30, and you can get a booth space to set up. And I've sold my books up there for I don't know 2 or 3, 4 times. I don't know what it's been. But I dress up in my little cavalry uniform and just enjoy getting out and selling the books. It's pretty interesting. Just talking to people about it, and I think people are surprised. They see you there, they see the book, and I think it's still surprising to people that to meet authors, the actual authors of books, and it's something that I enjoy doing too, just to pretend to be a cavalry guy. I get to wear my cavalry hat. It's a Stetson cavalry hat. It's got the gold braid on it. I should have been wearing that today. I wasn't, it's poor planning on my part. I got so excited to get out here and do it. I should have got that hat out instead of wearing my coonskin cap. I could have put the cavalry hat on. Next podcast, I'm gonna definitely get that all set on the side here, and then I'll put it on and we'll go over this book again. So anyway. This podcast is sponsored by Fort Siston, Dakota Territory, written by yours truly. So go out and get your copy today, or contact me. I'll autograph one, and we'll work out some sort of payment plan, installments, credit cards. I don't know. I'll figure it out. We can figure it out. Just if you want to email me, you can get a hold of me, and we'll get you an autographed copy. Let's see. Well, this one's not autographed, so we can. I can get that taken care of, and if we get multiple orders, I can get some more copies ordered. I get a discount as the author, but this is a different book, but this is my autograph and my special logo and branding symbol there. I don't know if you can see it. It's backwards. This is poor planning on my part, because I should have had this corrected. And anyway, I wanted to get that on for my copyright position so that people can see that this is my copyright. This is actually in this case, it's supposed to look like a duck head. And so that's its beak right here, but it's in the shape of a G. Technically it's a backwards G, and this is the H, the neck, and this side of the head here is an H, and then you can see the cross there. So, and there's my autograph. So that's what you would get if you want to order a book. Fort Siston, Dakota Territory book, or Chief Red Iron, the Lakota Uprising. Get your copy now. There's my sponsor, actual sponsor today. Anyway, moving on. I was, I'm quickly running out of time. So I'm one thing I just wanted to mention for the music update. Just another segment that I like to keep going with. So I've been watching this TV show on Amazon Prime. Um, it's pretty good. I recommend it. And maybe that's another thing I can do. I can recommend some TV shows. I got a whole bunch of them that have really been jumping out at me lately over the last couple years. So maybe I'll make a note here to have TV recommendations as part of the future segment, recurring topic. But anyway, the show I wanted to mention was Terminal List. I almost said Terminal Velocity. I don't know. That's a different show? Maybe that's a movie. Terminal List. Chris Pratt is involved in. He was in the first series, and it's a book by a former Navy SEAL. I can't remember his name. It's by, I think his last name is Parr. But it's sort of about the Navy SEALs and some of the stuff that's going on that they've done and missions. It's fictionalized, but it's kind of based on some of his actual life and events and stuff. And so that was the previous season was really featured Chris Pratt, and this season it kind of is it's a prequel about how one of his soldiers, Navy, I guess they're Navy SEALs, so it's really not a soldier, it's a frogman. I guess that's how they refer to themselves, as frogmen. So his, I think it's his chief master sergeant, got the way he was. So the actual title of the show is Terminal List Dark Wolf, and it's about his friend and chief master sergeant, how he developed and became what he became. So it's pretty interesting. I like it. But anyway, I'm getting a long ways off and trying to get to the music part of it. So they have their intro song they have for their music, and it's a song called Simple Man, but it's originally a Leonard Skinner song, but it's covered by this guy named River Crombie. And so that's my musical suggestion for you. Get that song. It's really good. I mean, if you're a fan of classic rock, it's almost more like I guess, country rock. They call it Southern rock in some places, but it's almost more like almost like modern country to me too. The way they play it, the way the guy covers it, it's a little more, stripped down, less production than the actual even Leonard Skinner song. But even that was pretty simplified. But anyway, I recommend that. Recommend those shows and the song, and that's really all my musical recommendations for this segment. Anyway, we'll get some more in there later. I got some other stuff going on with the music that I've been collecting, and I do have some musical lists I'd like to share eventually. And I don't know. I probably do need to do more podcasts because it seems like this time has gone by. We're already at 47 minutes, and I feel like I'm probably just going to go ahead and wrap up at this point because I do, I do some other stuff I need to do at the end of the day here. And, but I feel bad because I probably only got through half of my list of stuff I wanted to talk about today, taking too much time talking about football, and but that's an important part of the fall. And I'm sorry to say that I am addicted to NFL football, and I recommend you become addicted too, because it keeps you out of trouble. There's a lot of stuff you can watch. You got Thursday night, all day Sunday, and then Monday night. That keeps you out of trouble, and keeps your nose clean. So anyway, that's it. I have like 5 or 6 more topics I want to talk about, but I'm going to cut her off here, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And I do like to wrap up on a positive note, and I'm trying to stay positive after the down week of the NFL picks. I'm going to try to buckle down and put my nose to the grindstone and get better at making my picks. And I encourage you to stay positive, keep that attitude, glass half full all the time. And I put it on you. I put on you, the listener, to make sure you be mindful of your own attitude and be the positive influence out there. And I always like to end with this: knock, and the door will be open to you. Seek, and you will find. Ask, and you'll be given. Stay positive. I'm not saying goodbye. I'll just say, see you next time.